con uno de los mejores actores del mundo del cine hoy en día, el gran actor, el ganador de Óscar, Russell Crowe. Russell, how you doing, my man?
Good, man. How you doing? Good to see you.
I'm good. You obviously played Zeus. You got the beard going. Really quickly before we start, rate my beard 1 out of 10.
Well, I mean, you're a young man. It's coming along, you know. I mean, it's obviously a very thick growth, and but over time, we'll just let that come down a bit further, perhaps,
There we go. You got a new movie coming out. A very exciting movie. April 14th debuts everywhere exclusively in theaters. It's the Pope's Exorcist. I understand from reading that you're not a big horror movie type of guy. So what was it like actually living it, being in this type of movie?
No, I'm not really a horror movie sort of fella. I choose other things. My favorite film, for example, is The Princess Bride. So it's not really my thing. But what got me interested in the movie, man, and doing the movie was the character. He's a wonderful character, and he's a real man, and he lived a very rich and interesting life, and left behind a lot of documentation and writing. So from an actor's perspective, very selfishly, that was just an absolute treasure chest for me to delve into. But yeah, it purely for me was the fascination with the man Father Amort that got me involved. When I read in the script the job title Chief Exorcist for the Vatican, I thought it was like a snappy thing that a Hollywood screenwriter had come up with. You know what I mean? I didn't know it was a real job. And then I looked it up. I was like, oh my Lord, there you go. That's a real job.
I understand that you're a massive Leeds fan. Obviously, we're a sports show, so we want to talk a little sports with you. Any likeness for you doing a biopic of Marcelo Bielsa? I could see you in a biopic of Bielsa. You'd be a good Bielsa manager. What do you think?
Well, man, I did the voiceover for the TV
That's
series.
right.
Yeah. So, I mean, Leeds is just something I connected to when I was a kid. But, I come from a culture here in Australia that once you choose your team, you stick with your team, So, and I don't know if you know, I'm a sports owner myself. I own.
That's right. The rugby football league,
rugby
South
league
Sydney
down here.
Rabbitohs.
Yeah, that's right. The South Sydney Rabbitohs formed in 1908, and I took over the reins of that club in 2006, and we've enjoyed quite a bit of success since then. So, Leeds for me is about my childhood, coming back from playing my own sport back in the day when there was only like a couple of TV channels broadcasting at that time, and one would have a gardening show and the other would have match of the day from the Premier League in England. And in the early 70s, when I was a young boy, Leeds was a very successful team, so they would come up quite regularly on match of the day, And so, I just attached myself to them then, and it's good to see that they're back in the Premier League, but I probably want to see a little bit more consistency in their performances.
Last question before we close out. Australia versus Argentina for me in the World Cup was probably Argentina's most difficult opponent. Very quickly,
Right.
what you saw and just Messi on display.
Well, I thought Australia did very well in the last World Cup, and it's funny because you talk to people around the world, and they're constantly surprised that Australia's in the World Cup and everything. It's like they've been in the last 5, and got very close, both with Italy and then more recently to moving right into the serious rounds. I mean, even Italy has missed the last 2, so 5 in a row from Australia, who's supposed to be a minnow in the sport, is a pretty good showing. I mean, there's a big audience for all sport in this country. One of the principal pillars of the culture is sport, and there's always the joke here that people down here will like bet or gamble on anything. They'll turn anything into a sport. There's 2 cockroaches going up a wall, people are already picking teams. So it's just part of the nature of the culture here that we keep an eye on every sport.
Russell, mi amigo, thank you very much for your time. No se lo olvide, el 14 de abril, The Pope's Exorcist. No se lo pierdan. Russ, thanks again, my man.
Cheers, mate. Look after yourself.